The Super Speedway Podcast is a Dream Bigger media production. For news, photos, show notes, and information about advertising on the podcast, visit www.thesuperspeedway.com.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Super Speedway.
Look at the two-car wreck. Keselowski pushing Kevin Harvick. Oh, he turned things sideways. Oh, my God. He ain't lifting. He is not lifting. I cannot believe that save.
He wasn't going to lift.
What? Are you kidding me? Unreal. Unreal talent.
Welcome to episode 115 of the Super Speedway Podcast, recorded Sunday, July 7th, 2019. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. We are fresh off the finish of the Coke Zero 400. James, how's it going today?
Good, man. People are going to see this pop up in their feed, and they're going to think that it's Wednesday or something.
Right. It's going to really mess with them.
Yeah, we're doing this. This is our winging it version of the podcast.
Yes, we are winging it. The show notes, which you will probably, I'm going to upload the show notes as they are written on the website, thesuperspeedway.com, like we always do. But there are a bunch of X's because we really haven't filled anything in. Because of Kentucky this week, I'm going down there early, so I'm leaving Tuesday in the middle of the day. So our normal Tuesday/Wednesday recording time isn't going to work. I could probably do it from the hotel room down there, but I have family coming down with me, and it's not going to be ideal. And so we were planning on recording today after the race yesterday, which would have given us time to put something together, but Mother Nature decided to throw a little wrinkle into those plans and tried to stretch it out a little bit today too. But the race is over officially, and we're here to record Sunday after the race. So there is not much prepared. We're learning things as you're learning things, and I think most of the news at the track has been accomplished. People are loading up, getting the heck out of there. Can't blame them.
If it rains one more time while you're at the track, or near the track, or coming to a race, I think you might lose your mind.
This is so stupid, man. I'm so sick of freaking rain at NASCAR races. But you know, somebody who really likes rain right now is Justin Haley. Justin Haley is a NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series winner.
Wow.
Yeah. So is Spire Motorsports, the team that bought the charter from the Furniture Row team last year. Martin Truex Jr.'s old team basically fielded a team because, hey, they can make some money and come out even and have some value with this charter, and they get a win.
They got the value right there, man. That one big win.
Got to win at Daytona. So, James, I'll give you the first run on this. First of all, I don't want to take anything away from Justin Haley.
Right place, right time, man.
Yeah, right place, right time. Kurt Busch got to be kicking himself. We'll talk about that in a minute. But what do you think?
Kicking somebody.
Yeah, exactly. Crew chief might be, I don't know,
a NASCAR official or something.
Yeah. So, what do you think of this win, James? What do you take from this? What is your takeaway here, fresh off the victory for Justin Haley and Spire Motorsports?
I really like what Justin Haley said. Probably a few minutes ago. He's doing a live Q&A on Twitter. He said that this win feels like a blessing, and that is saying it perfectly.
Right.
When you're in his position, that is what this is. This is a blessing win. This is nothing more than Mother Nature came at the right time and shined her light, I guess.
Yeah.
on Justin Haley's chances to get a win here.
So here's my thing. Again, nothing against Justin Haley. Justin Haley had an Xfinity win last year taken away because he went below the yellow line.
He did, yeah.
Could have been argued he was pushed below the yellow line anyway. That was taken away from him last year, so this is redemption for him. My issue is with Spire Motorsports in general. I think that this proves, if you needed proof, which I don't think you did at this point, that this charter system in NASCAR sucks.
Well, it sucks for NASCAR, but Spire Motorsports,
it's great for them, yeah. But
they're just playing the game that they're dealt, man.
It's the same. Yeah, it's nothing against Spire Motorsports either. Totally nothing against them. Just the system sucks.
Yeah, I agree with you there. That's for sure.
This is a team that's not intended to win. They're there.
Yeah, they're a placeholder.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
you can put some blame on restrictor plate racing too. I don't know if I buy into that. Yeah, it was a big wreck that created the shakeup at the end, but I mean, it was just coincidence the weather came after the big wreck. I mean, I'd have less of an issue if this win would have came at the end of the race, but I mean they weren't even racing. They just happened to get through the wreck. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I want to be angry about it because
it's hard to be, because all of these teams are out there and they all are in this. They have this circumstance that the 77 had today. It's right. They're going about it differently. They're playing the analytics game where this is an investment and they're going to sell.
That just shouldn't be what.
Well,
that
teams
shouldn't
are bought,
be NASCAR.
Teams are bought and sold all the time, man.
Yeah.
They saw an opportunity with the charter system that nobody else was going to take. That was a valuable charter that the 78 just let.
I agree. Again, I totally agree. It's
a broken system, though.
Spire Motorsports,
I understand.
The system's broken. This charter system was created to give the team some value to their charters, and it hasn't done that because there's not enough teams looking for charters. And so
not people who, not people want to buy NASCAR teams anymore either. Right.
So this organization that came in, that it basically manages drivers. I mean, there's certainly a level of a conflict of interest there if you really were to dig into it. And now they have a race win. I don't know. I'm frustrated by it. This is one time when I am hand in hand skipping down the street with Nick Bromberg, and 100% agree with him in his frustration today on Twitter over this.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what I'm angry about. That's the problem. I don't know. I don't know who I'm upset with. I don't know. Am I upset with NASCAR? Am I upset with the economy? Am I upset with Spire Motorsports? I'm not upset with them. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know who to be upset with.
This doesn't change. If you think about it, if you want to settle your mind a little bit, this doesn't change anything.
Right.
Where the playoff standings are pretty much the same.
Right.
Justin Haley's not coming in. He's not running for cup points. All that's really changed is Spire Motorsports has a little bit more money in their pocket, and Justin Haley's got a W in the racing reference column.
Right.
Furniture Row could have stuck around and sold this charter years from now, but
right.
that's not the game they wanted to play either. They didn't want to keep the investment. So here we are with the 77 car. It is what it is. This race will be forgotten. Nobody thinks about Chris Buescher's race unless you roll into Pocono and you're like, hey, Chris Buescher's got to win here.
Right.
It's just one of those things, man. It's not, it's a big deal. NASCAR Twitter's freaking out a little bit about it. And I get it, man. I get it. It's not ideal. We want to see these guys race to the finish, and it's frustrating, and rain delays are frustrating. The whole thing is just, it's a big irritant that we don't get the full show.
Right.
It's just the hand we're dealt. We're left sometimes in NASCAR. You're left to pick up the pieces, and there's been random guys that get wins from here to the end of time. This is going to happen from time to time.
So let's then turn it back to a big congrats to Justin Haley. We get another first time winner in the Cup Series.
Yeah.
We get our second first time Cup winner in 2 weeks in the Cup Series.
Yep.
It is Justin Haley. This is courtesy of Kelly Crandall on Twitter. It is his third career start in the Monster Energy Cup Series. He is the 20th different driver to win his first Cup Series race at Daytona, 10th to do it in July, and the second youngest series winner at Daytona, 20 years, 2 months, and 9 days.
Baby.
Yeah, exactly. And, someone like Haley, I don't know. I mean, does this mean anything for Haley? This isn't going to get anybody to turn and go, oh, this Justin Haley kid's got a talent.
No.
He won a race. I mean,
no.
He didn't win this race on talent.
No, he's a dang
not
good
saying
race
he's
car
not
driver.
talented. Yeah, he is.
He's a good race car driver. He's putting up good numbers in the Xfinity Series right now.
Colleague Racing isn't exactly
Yeah, he's a 9.4 average finish. He's got 12 top 10s and 16 starts in the Xfinity Series. That's really good.
Yeah.
And he was in the Final Four for the Truck Championship last year. He was at Homestead racing for a championship with 3 wins on the season. So he is no slouch. This is a good young driver. He's really young, really green. This doesn't do anything for him. The work he's putting in right now in the Xfinity Series and the lower levels of NASCAR is what is going to propel him forward.
Right.
It doesn't hurt, though. He can always say, I'm a Monster Energy Cup Series winner. If a sponsor comes to the table, this could help.
Right, and he was second in the Xfinity race, wasn't he?
I think he was second in the. Yeah, I got it pulled up right now. Just a second. Yeah, he was. He was second. He was second on Saturday, or excuse me, on Friday.
Was he officially? I'm trying to remember. Was he officially second, or was Allmendinger second? And then Allmendinger got DQ'd.
I think Allmendinger. I don't.
Dinger
recall.
was either second or third, because I know it was top 3. The Colleague Racing guys got top 3.
We can pull it up right now. Yeah, the Colleague Racing got top 3. But yeah, he, like you said, he got that race kind of robbed from him last year. Although he did break the rules. I recall us talking about it quite a bit.
Probably, yeah. I hate the yellow line rule. I'm sure we talked about it because I hate the yellow line rule. Any chance I have to bitch about the yellow line rule, I will.
Yeah, AJ Allmendinger was DQ'd, so there's not 3 cars for the top for Colleague Racing. But yeah, Ross Chastain your winner, Justin Haley second. So
there you go.
Pretty cool, man. It's, I'm happy for the kid, and he's a good driver. He's got a long way to go, though. He shouldn't be coming up. This isn't Trevor Bayne. Maybe it is kind of similar a little bit, but Trevor Bayne, ran a full race and won. But this is. I don't know. I think we're both kind of baffled on what to say. If we were talking a little bit before the podcast, and I had mentioned, like, if Jimmy Johnson had won this race in a rainout, we all been on like, it stinks that Jimmy won it in a rainout, but he's back. He's back in victory lane. I think we would have had a little bit of a different.
Well, I think a lot of it would be different too if we wouldn't have had the wreck. I mean, really,
and the pitting, the pitting under with the 1 to go before the lightning strike, or after the lightning strike. I don't think we have clarification on that yet.
Yeah.
Austin Dillon said in his interview, "Hey, there's lightning."
Yep.
And the cars took the 1 to go. I think after that.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
Which is weird. I don't know, but anyway.
It's hard to say because when they came out of Austin's interview, they were on the backstretch, I think. So
who knows the timing of the interview and things like that. So that's just the way it's on TV.
Let's get into that. We'll get into the results in a minute, but let's get into that first. It was Kurt Busch, Landon Castle were both up front ahead of Haley, and both of them pitted with 1 to go. Both had damage, I believe, so they pitted with 1 to go. And then as the cars are going down the backstretch, NASCAR flicks the lights back on. They had a lightning strike within 8 miles. Which is the new standard for NASCAR. If it's within 8 miles, it's a 30-minute wait. So they pull the cars down to the pit road. They wait out the 30 minutes, and then every time the lightning strikes, it's another 30 minutes. Every time, another 30 minutes. Finally, we get off of the lightning clock, which Dale Jr. says he never wants to hear again on Twitter. And then we had some rain in turns 3 and 4, so they dry the track. They have the track dried. Everybody's in their cars. They're getting ready to fire the motors, and another lightning strike. We go back 30 minutes, and then it pours. And that's it. That's the race. They eventually, NASCAR held on as long as I think they could.
It's still raining there right now as we record.
So here's
about an hour after.
Here's another bit of frustration for me before we jump into the rest of the results. So NASCAR could have started this race at 10 o'clock this morning. It was clear at 10 o'clock this morning. We didn't start at 10 o'clock this morning because of the TV partners again. Instead, we rescheduled the race for 1 o'clock, where if you looked at the forecast yesterday, it was supposed to rain about 2 o'clock. They knew they were not going to get this whole race in before it rained. This stuff irritates me. I get it. I understand the TV partners play a big role in this.
Yes, they do.
Come on, NASCAR. Get yourself a freaking streaming service so we can run these things online if we have to when you're in a rain delay situation. This race would have run in its entirety and would have been done before we even were scheduled to start.
Yeah.
Had they started it when they should have. I'm sorry. Michigan I was on board with because it was still raining in Michigan on Monday morning, but this is crap.
Yeah. Do you know, and I don't want to put you on the spot, do you know if NBC was trying to avoid the Women's World Cup Championship?
I don't know why the decision was made, and I guess I am assuming that it has to do with the television partners because nobody has officially said that.
Well, I saw that on Twitter too, and I think it has something to do with the Women's World Cup because
this is the second time the Women's World Cup has messed us up with a
sorry, apologies to NASCAR, but the Women's World Cup, nobody was watching anything in sports other than that this morning. It was a big deal for a lot of people, not me.
Yeah.
I could care less.
Me neither.
Go USA. I'm all about USA kicking everybody's butt, but
yeah.
This is not the Women's World Cup podcast. So
the thing is, I don't know. It just
the TV partners have power. They have almost all
the
TV
power. Partners and the sponsors have too much power, and that's what's wrong with our sport.
Well, they keep paying the checks.
I know.
They're writing them cash, and NASCAR's cashing them. So
I know. All right, let's get on positive stuff. William Byron gets a second place finish. Jimmy Johnson, another top 5, 2 weeks in a row of the top 5. He finishes third. Ty Dillon, 4th place. Ty probably a pretty good shot to win this thing if we would have won back.
He was
green.
good. Yeah, he was clear. His car was clean, brand new.
Ryan
Good.
Newman, 5th.
Yeah, Newman he escaped a couple of sketchy moments and hung on, 5th place finish.
And then we get into the Corey LaJoy in 6th, Matt DiBenedetto in 8th, Matt Tift in 9th, Landon Castle in 11th, JJ Yaley 12th, Michael McDowell 13th. I mean, this is mixed up, man.
Yeah, it's cover your ears. This is an ass backwards finishing order. Seriously, you got Daniel Suarez and Brad Keselowski, 39th or 40th and 39th.
Yep.
And at the other end, you've got Justin Haley with a win. It's backwards. It's crazy.
Ryan Blaney 36th, Chase Elliott 35th, Clint Boyer 34th, Austin Dillon 33rd.
How did Martin Truex Jr. get to 22nd? His car was destroyed.
I don't know.
Big one.
Happened to roll a little further than everybody else. I don't know.
Kevin Harvick, he had finished 29th, and he had probably the most interesting moment of the day with his tire exploding.
Yeah,
pit road. Sitting on pit road. That's going to be a Twitter thing for a couple of days, I think.
Yeah. So in all truth, what brought this race to a close was coming down the front stretch. Austin Dillon gets a run, passes Clint Boyer on the outside, and then comes down to try and pull in front of him. We've seen blocking moves all day long, all weekend long. Heck, we saw it in practice, kind of, when Byron got wrecked by Keselowski, although personally I don't think that was really a block, but looked pretty similar to what eventually caused this giant wreck. Of course, this was battling for the lead. So Dillon gets turned sideways in front of the entire field, wrecks 3/4 of it. I mean, even looking at the cars that are listed as running, I would say half of these cars listed as running were torn up. I mean,
everybody was kind of.
I mean, Kyle Busch is 14th. He was in the wreck. I mean, it was a melee. So, in the spirit of winging it tonight, instead of pulling the clip and actually editing it ahead of time, NASCAR has on their YouTube channel. They have a video or have a clip of both Clint Boyer and Austin Dillon talking about the accident. It's 2 minutes long. We're going to play that right now and hope it comes. I've listened to half of it so far, so we'll see what we get out of it. Here we go. And it has to load, so give me a second. Here it goes. Come on.
Computer is buffering.
Oh, my gosh. Here you go.
To have a block. You have to have a car behind you. No, I was clearly clear up beside him. That was pretty bad, man. Yeah. I mean, and then he just kept coming down. Hell, I don't know. What do you do? What do you say? It's just nature of the beast for this type of racing. I mean, I had a big run, and he tried to block me, and then I got off of him, and then he kept coming down to try to block. It was just pretty unfortunate for us. We had a really fast, Mobile One Ford Mustang. Rush Truck Centers was on the back of it, and I don't even think you can see Rush Truck Centers anymore. Hopefully, when it was sitting down in a pile with the mess that the 3 created, Hale, kid was doing everything he was trying to do to stay in the lead. It was just pretty foolish. We got communicators up there on top of the roof, and pretty early in the race, a lot of racing left to be aggressively blocking or whatever the hell that was. But where the hell are we going next? Kentucky. Like we've been here for 58 days. Kentucky next week. Looking forward to that. And just hopefully this monkey will get off her back here sooner or later, and we'll get this 14 car marching back up where it belongs.
Did you have a chat with Austin about it in the care center?
It doesn't matter.
Well, originally off of turn 4, I thought me and the 9 would be able to get by the 11, but the 9 wasn't clear. I really thought it was kind of urgent because of the lightning and rain coming. So I jumped up there, had a good push from the 14, and my plan as soon as I cleared the 11 was to cut left and get down again to get with my Chevy teammates. It's really unfortunate. We had a really fast American Ethanol Chevy. It was cool winning the stage. Just trying to get a race win. That's all it is. I got turned a little bit left when he went left, and it kind of shot me down there. I just kept coming left. I mean, I don't know. It's part of this kind of racing. I was being aggressive and trying to keep the lead, and that's what you get. It's part of it. And there's a lightning strike right there. So. Just thought I'd try and keep it up front, and we had a fast car. Really proud of the guys. Hate it ended that way, and wish we could have worked with the Chevys to finish off what we'd started.
So James, I had the luxury of watching it twice there on the YouTube clip. So your thoughts? Who's at blame for that, or is that just a product of Daytona and Talladega now?
It's just like Clint Boyer said. It doesn't matter. It's it's a product of this racing, man. It's what we've been seeing ever since they slapped restrictor plates on these things a long time ago, and
it's
now
worse now. This blocking thing that they're doing now is ridiculous.
And this no lifting thing that came up this week when
Yeah.
Brad started that, and everybody's talking about he ain't lifting and this person not lifting. It's okay. I've heard that enough, but the veterans aren't having it anymore, and I don't blame Clint Boyer for holding his line. And Austin Dillon screwed up, and he pretty much admitted that he screwed up.
Right.
But
in another interview I saw where he was talking with media members, other than the TV interview, he took partial blame for the accident, which I think he's got to take a little more than partial. I think Austin's the one who came down on Clint. Clint really didn't have anywhere else to go. Clint, if he lifted, he was getting run over from behind. So
Yep. Yeah, Austin. It sounded like the spotter said he was clear there.
Yeah. This is all happened at what?
It's so fast.
2:05 now. I think we're running at the end of the straightaway at Daytona. And
it sucks for Austin because he was really sporty. He led the most laps on the day. He was, he had a good car, won a stage. This is a big opportunity for him to get into the playoffs, and he knows it. He's done this before.
Right.
It's one of those racing deals, and same thing with Harvick and Keselowski earlier in the race. It was just these cars are running really close, and some things just happen. But the no lifting thing that's a new trend. I think we got to watch coming into Talladega too.
Well, and I think this blocking thing now, this is one of those big changes in restrictor plate racing that we're going to remember for a while. This is, I think back to we used to bump draft restrictor plates, and then Dale Jr. and these guys came in and they started slam drafting, they were calling it, where you just pile drive into the back of somebody and practically lift their car up off the ground to draft. And that's what bump drafting is now. And you see it. They hit and the guy in front of them gets loose. And then we did the tandem racing, and that NASCAR took away with the rules package. And now we've got this blocking thing, and that's what you do. You get out front, you have two lines behind you, and you try to jump from one line to the other to keep everybody behind you. And it works generally until it doesn't. Well,
and I think Brad gets super frustrated, and I think it's one of those same reasons that Kyle gets frustrated with his younger drivers for his truck team.
Right.
Brad is so good at leading on the super speedways that when he gets blocked like that, it must just infuriate him.
Right.
Because
except his teammate's one of the best ones at doing it.
Right.
Joey's great at it.
Yeah, and I think that when Brad sees it done in such an improper way, I think it just set him off going back to last year. Byron had blocked him real bad,
right?
And that's when Brad lifted, and it caused a melee back then. So, he's just not having it, and looks like all the other, grizzled vets aren't having it with the young guys either. So.
Yeah, and that, the Dillon thing, he said in his interview there, and that's something that everybody needs to consider in this. You could tell on TV, and I guarantee you sitting in the car, they're watching those clouds coming. And those guys are all being told rain's coming, get in position. And so if it was any other point in the race and it wasn't coming to potentially a rain delay or a lightning delay, he's not going to make that block. He's not going to cut down on Clint like that. But you consider that, there were 33 or 30 some laps to go, and that's a long time at at one of these tracks. But there really wasn't, and these guys knew there wasn't, and so we're racing. We have 5 to go mentality right now, even though there's 40 laps to go. So that
you just brought up a point that I wanted to make, and I'm glad you said that, because the racing, for what it's worth, I know we had a weird result here today, but man, was it good! I thought it was really
insane
good.
All day.
The two things that really make these races so good is when the cars are hard to drive, which they were today. They were sliding all over the place. And two, when there's rain in the area, there is nothing better than rain in the area and running on a super speedway like Daytona or Talladega. Because my goodness, those guys put on a show when it's getting to halfway and the rain could come anytime. It wasn't
even then. Heck, the first stage.
It was good all the way.
So my deal today, James knows this, I haven't talked about it on the podcast, but I had plans today to go hang out with the family at the campsite. And so because the race got delayed and we knew we wanted to do the podcast today, I decided to bring my phone along and try and watch the race on my phone. And usually I do that with any other race, and I'm like, whatever, I'll give up and just say, forget it, I'll watch it later. But part of it today was the rain coming. I didn't want to not get to see something because it got extended or whatever. And part of it was just freaking too good to put down. I couldn't stop watching it. People are talking to me, and I'm like trying to pay attention, but here's this excellent race going on. And I mean, it was spectacular. It was a really, really, really good race, regardless of the end result.
Yeah, it's a bummer that it got rained out, honestly. I mean, I was irritated with the rain delay, and I think you could tell. We were texting back and forth, and I was saying, man, I think I even said, man, just call it, because I was getting irritated. I get so irritated with rain delays, but
yeah, me too. I don't know.
It's hard. The racing was really good though, and that's just a good sign though. And I don't know. I don't know. I just felt like when the cars are hard to drive like they were today, you can tell with Brad Keselowski. I mean, that should be a standard kind of bump draft type move, and I mean he just lost it, and I just thought the whole thing from start to finish, like you said, man, it was just really good, and that's the bummer of today.
Yep, really. Definitely. Before we give up on Daytona, NASCAR just posted their unofficial results on the media site, so I just wanted to bump through here and see if there's anything worth pointing out here. Let's see. Joey Logano led 40 laps in the day. Austin Dillon led the most, 46. Justin Haley led 1 to win the race.
He led 1, and he was running 71 miles an hour.
Yeah, did not pass for the lead at all. Let's see. Those two were the only notables as far as that. Points wise, let's see. Nobody really stands out on points. Someone like Alex Bowman. Alex Bowman got 25 points still with a 21st place finish. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. also 25th place, or 25 points with a 24th place finish. Otherwise, your top guys pretty much, anybody 13th on back, pretty much right around 25 or less. The guys above that were up there a little higher. Obviously, let's see. William Byron gets 43 points on the day, so William Byron comes home with the most coming out of Daytona. So good day for him. Basically a win for him. 38 points for Jimmy Johnson. That's going to help Jimmy, especially with Stenhouse having some trouble. That
Clint had trouble. That helps them too. Yep.
Widens the gap back there, so puts Jimmy a little bit more solidly in the playoffs, but still a lot can happen. Obviously, these guys can win from the back of the pack at any point. You never know. So let's see. I don't think anything else really to hit on with Daytona.
No, I think we really covered it, man. It was, it's weird. We're doing this so close to I think the last time we did a podcast this close to the race being over, we were recording in a car.
Yeah, I think so. It was after Michigan.
So
I've done it twice after Michigan because I did the one with Aaron too after last year. So, but yeah, it's tough doing these right after because you don't have time to digest
stuff. It throws our balance
stuff.
off. We are in such a regimented system.
Right.
It's tough.
Well, there's stuff that you remember that you wouldn't remember on Tuesday.
Yeah.
But there's also stuff you'll miss.
I really do feel like we covered Daytona pretty well, though, for what it was. I mean, it was a short race.
Yeah.
We didn't get the whole thing, so.
Yeah. Let's see. News-wise, I don't really think there's much in the news. There's a little bit of talk this week about electric coming to the Cup Series, potentially with this new Gen 7 car. Not that it's going to be a hybrid system, but there's going to be some electric component. But also still talk that 550 is the horsepower we're looking at. I don't think there's really anything too big to delve in there. I think we've talked about electric. I think that's an inevitable thing. It's going to come. I think personally it can help in the throttle response department, which I think is the biggest downfall of the package. I don't have an issue with the speeds. I would like to see more throttle response and losing less ground when you have to lift, basically.
Yeah.
But all that's in this whole transition that we're going through for with the aero package and everything right now, and it's something we're going to deal with for the next couple of years. Mm-hmm. We talked last week about the 2021 schedule, and there was a little bit of talk on radio and stuff this week that we may have all overreacted a little bit, that we took what Steve Phelps said as there aren't going to be any changes in 2021, and that's not the case. I know Dave Moody was saying kind of he's expecting another schedule change similar to the 2020 schedule, that we'll see a couple big changes and a lot of minor stuff, but not a complete revamping. And I kind of think that's where we're going to be. We're going to be in the middle somewhere. I still would love to see a track or two get added somehow, but like we talked about on here, it's tough to take a date away no matter what you do.
Yep.
It's going to be tough, and NASCAR doesn't want to extend the season, but I think tracks like Gateway and Iowa have potential to be seen on the schedule. I don't think Nashville is going to be anytime soon. I think you're going to see Truck and Xfinity there before we see any signs of Cup. I think, the dirt track at Eldora, that sort of thing, your road courses that are running the Xfinity Series right now, I don't think any of those are ready for the Cup Series. But I think Iowa could be pretty quickly, and I think Gateway could be pretty quickly. I think both of those, the owners are willing to put the work in that needs to be done. However, Gateway is a question mark because there are only 3 independently owned tracks in the Cup Series right now, and that would add a 4th. And I don't know if that's what NASCAR wants to do.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I think NASCAR will continue to explore the doubleheaders.
Yep.
And I think they will also try some sort of a midweek show. I still think that's out there. Maybe not by 2021, but I think that's something that they still. I think they still want to try that at some point. So
I think so too. We got a little test run at Michigan of what it could feel like, and so.
Right.
We shall see. With that, we go to Kentucky Speedway this weekend, the only SMI track that isn't a motor. It's not Kentucky Motor Speedway, it's Kentucky Speedway. I guess I take that back because Sonoma is Sonoma as well, not Sonoma Motor Speedway.
Sonoma Raceway. Right?
Yeah. So Kentucky Speedway this weekend. It is a Quaker State 400 weekend, and I will be there again. Lots of stuff planned. I don't know. Basically, we're focusing on the writing and some audio stuff. Just a heads up for you guys. I know last week we teased a recap from Chicagoland with a bunch of audio and stuff. Life is in the way, and I did a really crappy job of cataloging audio. And by the time I could actually get to it and sit down and do it, it was Daytona already, especially with the early race because it was a Saturday night race. Of course, it wasn't, but would have been. So it just didn't happen. I'm still going to have later this week, since we're doing an early podcast this week with this one. Later this week, we'll have the interview with Steve from Barron Speedway. It'll be a nice 15-minute podcast or something. That should pop up Wednesday or Thursday this week. So you have that. And then next week, we'll have a bunch of audio and stuff from Kentucky, and we'll see what we put together with that. But definitely watch the superspeedway.com. We'll have all kinds of stuff on there. I'll have stories up. And should be a good weekend. Hopefully the rain stays away because we are sick of rain in the NASCAR Cup Series and in my life in general. So I'm getting made fun of by everybody because everywhere I go it rains. But it's been raining, everybody. It's been raining everywhere.
Anywhere, yeah. If anybody's listening in the Midwest, especially in Michigan, we've been getting slammed all summer.
And speaking of that, I don't know what keeps dinging. It's something on one of these computers that I'm using, I believe, but I don't know what it is. So I apologize for that.
I don't hear it, so we're good.
Good. One thing I will note is that we talked about Daytona. This is the last July Daytona race, and Mother Nature was very quick to tell us why we shouldn't be racing at Daytona in July. The good thing is that next year we go to Indianapolis for 4th of July weekend, which, it never rains there, and it's not usually 1,200 degrees during 4th of July in Indianapolis. And Daytona moves to the fall for the first playoff race, which is great because it's not, hurricane season in Florida. So should have no trouble with weather next year as a result of these changes. I really hope
that was a sarcastic comment.
Oh, yeah, very sarcastic.
Yeah, they did move it right into the heart of hurricane season.
Yeah.
So, we could be in for
However, I saw a report today, and it might have been one of the weather guys that pointed out that he did ran the numbers on it, and we have a better chance of having a weekend like this next year in the fall than of having a hurricane interrupted race. So
maybe NASCAR is at the forefront of climate change.
Maybe.
And they just know the hurricane season's gone. We're not going to have it in this time anymore.
Right.
So,
Did you say forefront meaning that they know or meaning that they are the root cause of a lot of it?
They could be both.
I tend to be kind of a liberal person, so it's very odd for me to be cheering for the sport that pollutes the earth anyway.
Think about how many airplanes towed around baseball teams, hockey teams, football teams, basketball teams all year long. Come on.
That's
NASCAR's
true.
NASCAR's not doing any more damage.
That's true. And you know what? I don't care because the smell of a NASCAR race is wonderful.
Yeah.
There's nothing like fast food, carnival food mixed with the smell of burnt rubber and gasoline. It's heaven. I tell you what, when I went to Michigan in June, it was my first race this year. I went under the tunnel and I had to put my window down to show them my credentials, and it was like, I'm here. That's it.
It's the good stuff.
Now, you don't get that smell as much when it rains, though, because the rain kind of washes it away. So let's see. Bob Pacos tweets, it is clear at Daytona right now, but there is potential for more weather, and there are storms popping up behind it. So.
It's a big pop-up deal.
We can always play the what-if game, but the race is already 24 hours, almost 24 hours later than it was supposed to be. When you get a big delay like that, when it downpours and you completely lose the track, it's time to put the nail in it. We were at an official race, so you can complain all you want, but it's over. Anyway, Kentucky. I get first pick, James. I said it last week who I was picking. I'm going to go with it. Martin Truex Jr. is my pick to win at Kentucky Speedway this weekend.
There he is. He's on a hot streak.
Yep.
So I'm going to try to go back. I'm going to try to battle it out with you.
Okay.
And I can't figure out if I want to take Brad or Kyle Busch. And I am going to go with Kyle Busch.
I think Kyle's a good pick.
I
think Kyle's a good pick because you're combining the fact that he's really good here. He has 2 wins, 6 top 5, 7 top 10s.
Average finish 5.
Yeah, and he also is really good with this package. So
yeah, I do have a little bit of caution though. I've noticed that the 1.5-ish tracks that the Toyotas are not quite as good as they've been.
Yeah.
I don't have any data to back that up, but that's just kind of what I've been noticing. Chicagoland was really weird in that sense, which I want to credit a little bit the Positive Regression podcast. Alan Cavana and David Smith of The Athletic had talked a little bit about some of the struggles that they have, that the Toyotas are having, makes them kind of leery of picking a Toyota driver to win the championship going into Homestead. So just a little note. That's a great podcast. I wanted to give it a quick shout out.
There you go. Couple of things just to note on the stats as far as this is one thing to consider with Kentucky is we did have a repave at Kentucky. Kyle Busch, his wins came on the old version of Kentucky. He of course won the first race at Kentucky Speedway. 5th and 4th though the last 2 years, so he's good on the repave. We look at Brad Keselowski. Where did he go? Brad Keselowski, his wins, I think the first or the second win, his wins are really spread out. Of course, he did get a third there last year. 3 of them.
He's an every other year guy, except last year he finished 3rd.
Yep, and then 2 years ago he was wrecked in that fiery crash going into turn 1, I believe it was, and finished 39th. Martin Truex Jr. on the other hand is all new repave. He has been dominant there the last 2 years.
Hot to trap, man.
He made last year's race. Well, he made the last 2 years suck. 152 laps led in 2018. Or 2017, 2018, he led 174. So, yeah.
He's a monster. He's a monster there. So, we're always wrong. So
there you go. Who's your dark horse pick, James?
I know we had to disqualify a few guys off the dark horse board.
I still think Byron's a dark horse. Just a heads up. Not saying you should pick him. But
until he wins, right?
Once he gets a win, he's off the board, just like Alex Bowman.
Can I pick Kyle Larson? Average finish 21, and he has 2 top 10s and 5 starts. No, I'm just kidding. I
was gonna say, don't make me veto that one. Come on, man.
I can't pick Kyle Larson. I'll go with Chris Buescher. Nothing spectacular there, but he seems to be a legit dark horse. That's pretty much my only criteria for him.
Who do I want to pick? Kind of, I don't know. It feels like we're losing dark horses. Like there's just not enough.
I got a suggestion, maybe. Bubba Wallace is not that bad there. He has a 19th place average finish in his 2 starts.
I'm not picking Bubba Wallace. Every time I pick him, he does terrible. I don't want to do that to Bubba. I want Bubba to run well. Crap, I don't know.
Another good one, possibly, and this might be the best one, Ryan Newman. He has 8 starts. He's ran all 8 races. He has 3 top 10s, and he has an average finish of 15.1.
I'm done picking Ryan Newman, too. I need an entry list, because there's a lot of people in here mixed in that are like...
Well, you could go with like a Daniel Hemrick or a Ryan Preece. They just don't have stats on this track yet.
Yeah. I don't know, James. I don't know. Paul Menard. Can I pick Paul Menard?
Paul Menard's fine.
I'm going with Paul Menard. He's my go-to just to get you riled up.
When you just don't know what to do with yourself.
Just go Paul Bernard.
Paul with his blank stare on his
He's
face.
gonna finish somewhere in the middle.
He's always
all I
going to
need.
finish somewhere in the middle.
There's a lot
Doesn't
of
matter.
A lot of Xfinity guys in the list here, like Ryan Sieg, Michael Annette.
Yeah, this is going to be a kind of a weird
A
one.
lot of just saying, there's a lot of these guys that are mixed in here in the stats here, which is interesting for the Monster Energy Cup Series stats. So it must have been a lot of guys.
Yeah,
that
field
have,
fillers.
Yeah, have run races here that don't normally run races here. So Kentucky Speedway this weekend is a big weekend. We got a triple header: Truck Series, Xfinity Series, and Cup Series. So it should be a good weekend. We have the M&M's glamping campground in the infield, which I
forgot about that.
I plan to check that out and see how that is.
I want pictures.
Yeah, I'm gonna do what I can. I'm not bringing the camera. I'm not doing the official photography thing this weekend, but I will have my phone and I'll be tweeting. So that'll be up there. I'll have some of that. Going with the family and quite possibly doing the Ark Encounter the day before the race. So I'm not so much excited about that, but we'll see how it goes.
You have a love-hate relationship with that series.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be a good time. So yeah, definitely give us a follow on the superspeedway.com. You can follow me on Twitter at @TSuperspeedway. I'll have all kinds of updates this weekend. Before we get into that stuff, James, you got any shout outs that here on a whim?
We are flying by the seat of our pants. I don't have any that I can think of. I think that you do, though. I know you got a shout out on a podcast. I actually listened to it because of your shout out. So nice. I thought maybe I'd throw it to you on this one.
Well, I'll shout him out again because I shout him out last week. The Lap Traffic Podcast, big fans of those guys. I'm going to shout out, and I want to make sure I get it right. I'm going to shout out also the PETM Racing Podcast, mostly because I have been arguing with them on Twitter quite a bit.
Yeah, I caught some of that. I was going to get in on it, and then I backed away.
I'm trying to be careful because I very much disagree with him, and I don't want I want to have like a actual debate with him. But I don't want to piss him off and get blocked because I actually like him and I like the fact that his opinion is different than mine. We came to an agreement on one thing and then another thing sparked up and I replied and then I bit my tongue today on something. It's like I don't want to be in a Twitter beef with anybody, but I like to debate stuff. So
you're morphing into Bromberg as we speak.
Yeah, I need to meet up with him. He came with he's a buddy of Brandon from Lap Traffic, and so they met up at Michigan and Atlanta this year, and hopefully he'll come back to Michigan and I can meet up with those guys and actually meet him in person and shake his hand and say, listen, I just like to debate stuff. I'm really not a complete jerk.
You got into the is esports sports conversation.
Yes.
That I was reading it and man, I was going to text you and then I thought, I don't want to get into it with Eric today.
Yeah. Well, and that's, shoot, we're quick here. We could talk about that really quick. We've talked about it here before. I don't know. I'm on the fence on it. I understand sports versus competition, but it's also a big thing that we can't ignore. And so
this is the one thing that NASCAR people can come back at, because NASCAR has been for how many years has NASCAR been? That's not a sport.
That's my thing. Like, how can you sit here as a NASCAR fan and go, that's not a sport? That's what people have been saying about our sport for years.
Exactly. I do agree with you there. Yeah. Now, it's funny because I always tell people NASCAR's not a sport; it's a motorsport.
Yeah.
And esports aren't sports; they're esports. It's all different. Right. It's all relative. Like, yeah, basketball is a sport. It's and so is hockey, and so is baseball. It's just a different form of sports. Our sport uses machinery and motors and gasoline and all sorts of other fun stuff that we like.
Here's my standpoint on it. Who cares?
It doesn't matter. If people like it, they like it.
There's money in it and people enjoy it. I tell you what, I haven't sat and watched a whole race.
I watched some NASCAR Heat Pro League even. I caught a little bit of that and I was like, ooh, this is actually kind of interesting.
NASCAR has their iRacing League, the Peak Antifreeze iRacing League, and I watch almost all of their recaps on YouTube. It's usually a 2 to 5 minute recap of the race. And it's interesting. They've got good announcers. Okay, so everybody says they'd rather have MRN radio than your TV broadcast. Well, that's what you got here. It's basically an MRN broadcast with video, and it looks like you're watching a race, except for the fact that when somebody crashes, they don't get hurt. or there's no potential for them to get hurt unless they punch their steering wheel or something on their desk. And it's, it's otherwise it looks to sitting on TV, watching on TV, it looks the same almost, the graphics are good enough. It's exciting. The wrecks are a little ridiculous, but I mean, there's good competition there. Heck, sometimes they're better. The MIS race was freaking spectacular. Gave me a lot of hope for what the Cup Series was going to present, but it didn't pan out to be the same. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, I find it entertaining. I don't watch a lot of it, but when it's on in front of me, if it's on my Facebook feed or something, I'm like, I'm in.
There are a lot of people making money on Twitch. I mean, that's kids these days sit there and watch people play video games.
I will never understand that.
No.
That I will never understand.
I will occasionally go on to YouTube and look at gameplay videos if I want to see how a game plays to decide whether to buy it. But that's it. I won't sit there and watch people stream. I think that's nuts. But I think it's nuts to watch golf on TV too. But people do it.
I do take that back on myself a little bit, because when we're just from a different generation, man. We're old.
Yeah.
I'll admit that. I know I'm aging by the second. I am aging years. But I remember in college very fondly that my buddy was like really good at speed running the original Super Mario Brothers, and it was fascinating to me to watch him do that. So I take that back. I do enjoy watching people play video games.
Wasn't there a movie in like the 80s or 90s about kids that played video games, played Super Mario competitively?
I remember the documentary game. What was it called?
I think there was a movie.
Man, I don't remember, but there was a documentary about the guy who was trying to set the Donkey Kong world record, and I ate that thing up. That was great. It was good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, if people are going to watch it, it's great.
I think what it was called. But yeah, man, people like that stuff.
It's the same. It's no different than, I don't care whether people think NASCAR is a sport. It's no different. So my argument with PETM was that, they show poker on ESPN and Fox Sports.
You like what you like, right?
Yep.
People think I'm an idiot because I go out and run 10 miles on a Sunday.
Yeah.
That's not for some people, and that's for me.
I'm one of those people. Anyway,
I know. And that's cool, but that's what I like to do.
And here's the thing. I get it. You don't like, people don't like esports. They think it's dumb. But there are people that tune in on the internet and watch people play iRacing. And if that means that those people are going to go, I wonder if I should check out the real thing, then awesome. That's good for us. That's what we want.
Yeah. And we have drivers coming into the series, coming into NASCAR because of their iRacing prowess.
Right.
William Byron.
Exactly.
Maybe the prime example.
And it's not just William Byron. We had Haley Deegan was on Junior's podcast last week. She uses the simulator a ton. A lot of these, shoot, Dale Jr. and Martin Truex Jr., they won a race together. I don't remember who won the race. I think it was Junior. Back in the Xfinity days, racing at Talladega, because Junior pulled a move that the two would play on NASCAR 2003 when they raced online.
There's a really good rabbit hole of Tony Stewart, and if this isn't just like the real thing, I don't know what is. But Tony Stewart getting into it with people on iRacing, that's a really good YouTube rabbit hole. I encourage people to look that up because he just devastates people with the verbal attacks. It's really good.
There's
stuff.
nobody better at verbal attacks than him.
He's very quiet, and then he just unleashes like 2 or 3 second, verbal jab. Then he goes back to racing and kicking their butt.
I have one more shout out. My buddy Ryan Collier, he was watching Delayed today. He kept texting me, asking me. First of all, he was somewhere where he didn't have service, so he texted me this morning like, did they get the race in last night? Blah blah blah. And I said no, they haven't run it at all. It starts at 1 today. So he recorded it. Asked me what channel to record it. He's been asking me all day like, did they get it in? Is the rain done? Whatever. So I've been just kind of telling him that. Where it's at. And I told him that the race was over and it's called. And he just finished watching it 1 minute ago. He messages me and he says, Justin Haley, what? So
that's awesome.
Welcome to the end of the race there, Ryan.
I love that we are so close to the end of the race that we're getting live responses. That's
right.
Fantastic.
I'm excited. So we're going to post this podcast. I'm sure it will hit the Twitters and all that stuff. People are going to be looking for results. So if any of you guys stumble across us because we were on Sunday after the race, let us know, give us a follow and join us. We do this every week, usually in the middle of the week. if a bunch of guys say, man, this is awesome, you guys should do it Sunday every week, we probably still won't because we have lives and it's too difficult to do, but we'll entertain it.
There are children involved in our lives, multiple children.
Yeah. Now,
and
if you guys want to become patrons and go to patreon.com/thesuperspeedway, get a bunch of you doing that, it'd be much easier for James and I to convince our wives that we need to be in front of the TV on Sunday to watch the race and watch it live and then podcast afterwards.
And that's a really good test for me to see what my time is worth to my wife. I want to know what that number is.
Yeah.
So let's try that.
There you go. Become patrons, guys, and get us recording on Sundays. James, I already mentioned my Twitter. Where can they find you on Twitter?
At James Cush on Twitter.
I'll repeat mine again, at TSuperSpeedway. There'll be all kinds of stuff from Kentucky Speedway this weekend. Hopefully clear skies and sunshine. And I won't even complain if it's hotter than crap as long as it's not raining. So follow the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/thesuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. You can find the podcast on there, show notes. Again, today's show notes are kind of a mess, but normally you can click on the links and stuff to the articles that we discussed. You can find the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, and SoundCloud. Wherever you heard us today, we hope you subscribe. And once again, become a patron at patreon.com/thesuperspeedway. How do you think we did, James, on a Sunday winging it podcast? I think we did okay.
I thought that was fantastic.
There we go. See,
I kind of liked it.
All the preparation we put into this thing every week, and you can't even tell. And it sounded the same today with no preparation whatsoever.
Yeah, I thought we did good.
I think we worked too hard.
That's probably true. Well, you work too hard.
All right, we go to Kentucky Speedway this weekend. I will be there tweeting out, tweeting out, getting audio. There'll be all kinds of stuff next week. Again, follow along on Twitter for updates throughout the weekend. And until then, everybody, let's go racing.